Go stand with me. And where are we, dear? With a wiggle in your rock. Hey, where are we? Where?
Who's that?
Who's this? Joe. Kate. Kate.
First time we came to
What the hell was so great about Plymouth Rock? Just has to do where they stepped off the ship, huh? Big old rock there. They stepped off that Plymouth Rock. Still in its original spot. I don't know about that. I suppose it is. Would you like to compare it to? Well, I don't know. They might have moved it for
On behalf of the Department of Environmental Management, I welcome you to Pilgrim Memorial State Park. Below you is Plymouth Rock, the historic landing site of the Pilgrims in December of 1620. Now some of you probably look down and you say, well, this is kind of small. Well, originally, it was about 15 feet across. About 3,000 pounds of the original rock has been stolen by souvenir seekers, and on top of that, the rock has been moved several times, as you can tell by that crack there. Due to contrary belief, this was not the actual landing site of the Pilgrims. They had landed at the end of the Cape Cod Peninsula, which is at Provincetown, which is 14 miles directly across Cape Cod Bay. The Mayflower landed anchor at Provincetown and used the harbor there to protect the ship, and they took out the smaller boat on the Mayflower called the Shallop. They went to Provincetown, but didn't like Provincetown for basically two reasons. It was very sandy soil, and there wasn't any fresh water. So, with an expedition of about 12 men, they took the small boat, the Shallop, and followed the whole coastline of the Cape Cod Peninsula until they came to the outskirts of Plymouth Harbor. On the outskirts of Plymouth Harbor, they hit a storm, on which they lost their oars and the rudder and lost control of the boat and crashed on what is now Clark's Island. If you look out at the end of the Cape Cod Peninsula, you can see a clump of trees with a house on it. They spent 2 nights out there recuperating from the storm, and then the next morning came into Plymouth Harbor. They liked Plymouth Harbor for several reasons. One, you have to realize it was very late in the year. It was December, winter was settling in, and they wanted to start building their location as soon as possible. On top of that, it was a very ideal harbor. Like I said, there's this long, narrow peninsula which is called Plymouth Beach, which was an active or be an excellent barrier against northeastern storms to protect ships in the harbor. On top of this, the area had been cleared out by Indians. They cleared about a 13-mile tract of land, which they grew their own corn and vegetables and food. The Indians had been ravaged by a plague 5 years prior, and about 75% of their group had died. Thus, the Indians had left the area and was cleared out of Indians, which would help the Pilgrims have their own place to grow corn, build their settlement, and not have to deal with the Indians. On top of this, if you go down here, Town Brook, there were several freshwater springs for their own consumption of water. And if you go behind Plymouth Center today, there's a giant hill called Burial Hill, which was excellent defense against not only the Indians, but against the French and the Spanish, in which they could look out onto the ocean to see any incoming ships. Now some of you might look down here and you say, well, how do you know this is the original rock? We know this is the original rock by Thomas Bunce. He was born here in Plymouth in 1647. His father had come across the Atlantic in 1623 on the Anne. Thus, when Bunce was a young boy, a lot of the original Pilgrims were still alive, and he'd hear their accounts of them landing at this particular rock. When he was 95 years old, the town of Plymouth was planning to build a wharf here in 1741. He literally came down in a wheelchair to protest the covering of the rock. Although he died 4 years later, in 1774, when they finally built the wharf, a group of about 30 men came down with oxen and put chains to the rock, and as they were pulling the rock up to remove it, half the rock fell down back into the sand, and what you see here is the top half. And they took this top half off. They left the bottom half here, and they took the top portion up to Town Square, or at the time was called Liberty Square. It was 1774, revolution was in the air, and they thought it was a perfect symbolic gesture, as with the breaking of the rock, with the breaking of England. So, they took it up there, and they used it as a recruiting device for people to join the Revolutionary Army and help the drive against Great Britain. It stayed there until 1834, and you have to realize people are, slowly taking, their toll. They're taking their own pieces home for their own collection, and they take, as time goes on, plus natural forces on it. It stayed there until 1834, where they brought it down to Pilgrim Hall, and as they were bringing it to Pilgrim Hall, it was on a cart that fell off and cracked in half. And that's where that crack there is. They cemented it back together, and they put it in a cage before Pilgrim Hall, and to protect it from souvenir seekers. But in reality, the people that worked at the society at Pilgrim Hall themselves were taking pieces inside the museum and selling them to tourists. So the the cage itself didn't help at all. Finally, in 1880, they brought the rock back down here and placed it on top of its original bottom half and cemented it. And in 1920, they built this canopy, and this whole park was built in 1921 and opened then. If you have any questions, you can ask myself or Ken here. Thank you for your interest, and I hope you enjoy Plymouth.
What's the original rock they have?
What?
What's the original rock? I mean, what is the purpose? Where they first stepped onto it?
Yeah, for about the first 6 months.
This is the real, exactly the same one.
Yeah, they're pretty sure, yeah. They came up with a small about the shallow, and the shallow took about 3 feet of water. There was a channel that came up here. And you have to realize these people were shorter. They averaged about 4'8", 5 feet tall. They were tired, they were sick, they were cold, they were dying. And they had no place to go to, so they didn't want to touch any water. And with about 5 feet tall, it'd be up here onto them. So they came up with the shell, and like I said, it was a lot larger. It was about 15 feet across. And they stepped off the shell onto dry land. For about the first 6 months, they used this as a wharf to bring their supplies up on and onto this and onto the land.
Who carved the date in?
Well, it took about a month when they searched the coast. And when they found this location, they went back with the shell, and then they came back with the Mayflower. The Mayflower laid anchor out here.
We just didn't do this today.
Oh, no. It was several weeks. One of the main problems was the shell was like a boat that was in pieces inside the Mayflower. and people had slept on it the whole 2 month journey across the ocean. So it took them nearly a month to put the boat together. Meanwhile, that's when a lot of the people died. The first winter, the women and children stayed on the ship. So a lot of people died, about 47 people, about half the group died the first winter. And if you look across here, this is called Coles Hill, and that's where they buried the people. They buried them secretly at night so that the Indians couldn't tell that they had weakened. And when the spring came, they actually planted corn on top of it to hide their losses. Any other questions?
How and when did the date get carved in it?
Before the date was engraved, it was painted on 1620. And in 1880, Clark Ellis engraved that on. That's when they brought it back down here and put it on to its lower portion.
Mayflower.
Do you want a Harvard tour?
I don't. So fair.
No, the higher up you go above the waterline, you want to keep the ship low, keep the weight low, and the cost as well. The longer the beam, the more weight you put on the ship. And how she gets narrow, the higher up she goes. Well, first of all, it's oakum put in there. The fibers, same fibers rope is made of, and then pitch on the outside. Just punch it to the deck, isn't it?
Like this.
Fine tower, and that's rope. All the rope is hemp. And when you're spinning up the fibers of hemp, you treat them with a bit of fine tar, makes them more sticky so they bind themselves together. And each yarn strand and the strand of the rope is bonded together to make the rope. There's a lot of stickiness to it when it's first made.
Someone else sleeping with you?
My cabin boy. Good day to you, good folk.
Good day.
There, young ones. You look about and imagine yourself dwelling on this ship. But we had many younger than yourselves now. Think of that wherever you go this day.
How many kids came across on the boat?
We had no goats at all.
No. Children.
We had 30 children and 2 more born by the time we got here.
Did they all make it across?
Yeah, how
Make
many
what?
died?
Did any of them die?
2 died, 2 young men, 1 were a mariner and 1 were a passenger. And we had 2 lads born to make up for them.
Two boys born?
Right.
What were their names? Do you
Well,
know?
1 born in mid-Ocean, and his mother did call him Oceanus. That was a grand name for him.
Right.
And the second one born out to Cape Cod once we did anchor there, be called Peregrine.
Peregrine? White?
Yeah, Peregrine White, that'd be a good name for him as well. Peregrine's a Frenchy name for someone that doth wander about like a pilgrim in search of a better place. And he did that before he was born.
So he was actually the first...
First English man born in New England, for all the good that'll do him.
Mhm.
But I would say he's in better health than most. Him and his mother as well. And both of them babes and their mothers.
And who was his father? William?
God knows. I pay no much mind to the passengers as long as they keep out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the
Governor might tell you.
You were the captain.
you're the
Be the
captain.
master.
The
Captain's
master.
a military word. You're not find no captain here.
Aye. I agree with that.
Every ship doth have a master.
Yeah.
One as small as that shallop alongside, a small craft, has a crew but of 4, and one of them be master of it. It's the way of the sea. One must be master over all the others.
So there's only a crew of 4?
Nay, in a shallop, my crew be 6 and 20. The shallop, that small boat alongside
Oh.
that belonged to the passengers, that's a crew of 4 mariners hired by the company to come and stay for a year and teach them how to fish.
Okay. Of the 26 sailors,
Not
But-
all sailors, nay.
that was,
26 in the crew. 2 of them ain't even mariners. The surgeon and my cooper, he's my nephew.
okay, okay.
He did decide he wanted to come adventuring with the uncle when he heard they were bound for the New World.
But all of the rest are available to help in the storm, etc.
Oh, aye, well, all hands of the crew that work the ship.
Okay.
The passengers, we put them to the pump, for any fool can run a pump. And we did train the men of the passengers into being guns crews in case we'd need of them, and thank God we'd no need of it. But now, I've landed 4 cannon to protect them against these natives here. They'd be in great number. So at least they do know what end of it to point to the enemy.
So how many are going back on the return trip to the England?
Well, as many as has any sense. I told their governor if he's any sense he'll leave this place. It's too wild a place for an Englishman to dwell in winter time. And he'll get them all on board and come back to a civilized part of the world and try again somewhere else.
So
All
you're-
of my crew that's left alive is coming. Save the nephew, the poor man, he's took leave of his senses. He wants to throw his lot in with these people. But
Oh,
all the misery he's seen here and the sickness and death, he's going to stay here with them.
I see. But the other 26, 25 will go back.
Well, 6 of them's perished.
Uh,
There'll be but 20 of us left alive.
20. Thank you.
Quite welcome.
You'll be returning in the spring.
Well, as soon as I get my ship set to rights and get enough men well to sail, off we go.
Mm-hmm.
I've had more than enough of this place.
Okay, good day to you.
Good day to you, sir.
I had been thoughtful, I'd have bleached out some salt to pork. But it takes a long time to bleach that out, to get all the salt out. And then you have to freshen it by taking the salt out. It has to go in the steam.
Do you have children at home? They're also
That's the Bible we sent you. It's what you need the Bible. Calvinist Bible.
A school of families. We have a dozen of servants. And we have hired hands in we have come to plant at least a year to the New World with me, to learn our husbands were landsmen to become deputies. And we'll brought a little boat to the side, to Charlotte, to be our brother in the New World.
How does everybody fit down here? Was it really crowded?
Next to be crowded, be a blessing in the sky.
Were there children born on the Mayflower coming across?
Well, there be 3 amongst a score of we women that were child upon departure. Mistress Hopkins gave birth mid-sea. Thought it most befitting to call her lad Oceanus. This babe and mother fairest well, as be the second lad Peregrine White, born upon the ship to the Cape of Cod. Though master was. The father has perished this very day.
His father? What was his father's name?
Master William White.
William White.
He has perished this very day, leaving his beloved wife with a babe in arms and a son of 5. It were the 3rd little babe to be lost, here unto Plymouth, stillborn, where Mistress Allerton's bed.
What did William White's wife, did she remarry then?
Not as yet.
Not as yet.
This good sir must be considered. For many of we have lost of husband, their beloved wives, even children be seen to fall and perish. 1 in 30 of we in only 3 months since arrival. Thus far.
Her name was Susanna?
Susanna, truly. Now cometh the spring, and the Mayflower shall depart. We will be taken unto homes of other families, and thus methinkest consider of remarriage, and not of want, good sir, but rather of necessity. For we normally grieve at least a year for our beloved spouse when his deceased at Buckingham.
And November 9th? I didn't know that. That's my birthday. I never knew that.
It was raining and snowing and sleeting, mistress, blowing a gale.
So you had enough provisions to last you through the winter?
Before I left England, I had planned it.
No, Wendy, I want you into. Smile.
Oh, come on, Cliff. Here comes Cliff.
I'll get another picture with him.
Quick. You can do that because he's moved.
Smile.
Yes. Got a messy face for a little bit of too bad. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, there she's smiling. Where's Katie? Is Katie on?
Yeah, Katie. Come here.
Washing and winding, are they going up in
Smile.
Yeah.
Smile.
Oh.
Oh, get the whiskers on your face.